It's not your conditions, it's your decisions. Let's chat more about it. What's up, guys? Peace and cheers as always. Mark, aka Flying Health Coach. Happy insert day whenever you get a chance to watch the video. Today we're going to talk about it's not your conditions, it's your decisions, right? So, what does that mean? Well, it's a pretty straightforward quote if you ask me, but anyways, I thought it was worth talking about. And as always, we got to bring back up the Hawkins scale of consciousness, right? We all remember this scale. I've showed it quite a few times. And if you haven't had a chance to look into it, simple Google search, Hawkins scale of consciousness. It really kind of shines a light on a mindset, especially when you start really digging into this stuff and figuring out how you can go from down here to back up here in the blink of an eye, and I can't snap for shit. But anyways, we're going to come back to this. So, it's not your conditions, it's your decisions. I want you to take a second. Think back a week ago, a month ago, a year, 5, 10, 15 years, whatever it is. But think back to when you made a decent-sized life decision, right? Not just, should I go get Burger King or Subway today? No, not that. It's those decisions are things like, should I make this move to Florida? Should I take this new job? Should I take that promotion? Should I quit my job? Should I start dating this person? Whatever, right? But a decision that actually had a pretty big impact on your life. So think about that decision now. Keep it in your head, right? Now think about if you would have made the other decision, right? If you made the opposite decision, how would that have altered your life? And probably there's no way to truly know how it would have, right? There's no way to truly know that, but the point of the exercise is to think about how drastic of a life change it can be when you make a different decision, right? Because it's true, it's not your conditions of your life, it's the decisions that you make based upon the states that you're in, right? So, speaking of states, how important is it to be in a more higher vibrational state, right? A state of feeling faith, feeling love, feeling joy, feeling connection, feeling driven and motivated versus being in a state of anger, fear, resentment, and anxiety and depression, right? We all know that we don't make the best decisions if you're down here in these very lower vibrational type of states. You don't. You make very emotional decisions, which can have drastic impact on the conditions in your life or the future conditions that you want to have in your life, right? So how do we get ourselves, again, to be up here consistently? And that's what I want to talk about today. By the end of the video, I hope that you guys have a nice little tactic that you can use to bring yourself, or not to bring yourself, but to bring yourself, we'll say that, bring yourself from here up to here, right? So, decisions, right? I don't know what I exactly believe in life. Call it God, call it the universe, but I do believe that our life is dictated by the decisions that we make, right? You know, and again, thinking about things like, should I take that new job? Should I, try to date this person? Or should I go do this? Should I go do that? There are all these decisions we make constantly that are based upon our belief systems that we have, right? If I believe that the world should be a certain way, I'm going to make decisions so I can see the world that way, right? So my perception of the world, right? Versus if I see the world differently, I'll make different decisions, right? You can have two people that are motivated by, let's say, connection, or two people that are motivated for love and connection, or they're motivated for like significance in life. But if they make different decisions in life, they're going to have very extremely different life paths, right? So the decisions that you make in your life, whether they're good or bad, that's just your perception of good or bad, but you have to think about, what is my ultimate net goal, right? Where do I want to see myself in a year from now, 5 years from now, 10, 15, 20, whatever, right? So we can't change what's in the past, we know this, right? But from where I'm at right now, what decisions do I have to make to get from A to B down the road? And that's kind of the superficial stuff, right? because you know that if I'm here, I want to get to here. Okay, well, there's a bunch of little steps in between to get there. They call it chunking, right? There's a bunch of little steps you got to take to get there, a bunch of little decisions you have to make. So let's take a step back, right? Let's say, as an example, I'm deciding today that I want to make $10,000 a month extra in additional income, right? Okay, I'm making that decision today, right? I'm deciding I'm going to do that. Okay, well, that's great, but it's not just going to happen overnight, obviously. But now I'm here now, I want to get to here. Now I have to make a bunch of tiny little decisions in between to eventually get myself to that point. And to get myself to that point, I have to be in a very resourceful state, right? So do you, right? If you are thinking about the goals in your life and the decisions that you make, you have to be in a resourceful, positive state to get yourself to where you want to be. You can't allow yourself to be stuck down here in anger, fear, and resentment if you want to get to a better version of you, right? Because this stuff is going to influence your decisions, obviously, right? You're not going to make resourceful decisions. You're going to make emotional-based decisions because you're so desperate to get out of here. But you decide that you want to achieve Y goal, right? I'm X here, I want to achieve Y goal. Okay, that's a decision I'm making right now to do that. And again, we have all these little decisions in between to eventually get to that point. So, but what tends to happen is far too often we let our current conditions in our life influence that, right? And the conditions being, oh, I don't have this giant apartment, so now I feel bad, or I don't have the house I want, so I don't feel good, or I don't have this career I want, or what doesn't matter, right? But it's not those conditions that should be influencing you. It's what's going to happen down the road based upon the decisions that you make today, right? Because that's ultimately what the goal is, right? Especially if you're trying to build your 2.0 version, is you're recognizing right now in this moment, like you're not the person you want to be. You don't have the life that you want, right? So you have to make different decisions to get the life that you want. To make different decisions, you can't let your current conditions influence your state of mind, right? Because if your current conditions influence your state of mind, if I always said, yeah, I don't have my dream house or apartment yet, oh, I feel bad, or I don't have my dream car, if I had all these materialistic things, right? I don't have this stuff. I'm living in a place of scarcity, right? A scarce mindset. If I keep saying I don't have this, I don't have that, I'm letting my conditions influence my mindset, right? And I'm constantly keeping myself down in a state of resentment and anger, right? Because I'm letting my outside external world influence what's going on inside of here. So now the question is, right, and this is what I promised I would do, at least hopefully help you do, is how can you not let your conditions influence what's going on in here? And the trick to it is, and this is going to sound kind of weird, and I've talked about it before, but you have to sit down, crisscross applesauce, or sit down somewhere where it's quiet, it's peaceful, and you can think, and you have to think about, we have our senses, right? We have, sight, hearing, we have your taste, we have your kinesthetic senses, all of your muscles, your bones, your joints, how you just feel in your body. So we have all of our senses, right? But there's 3 of them that we want to focus on: auditory, visual, and your kinesthetic, right? And this is kind of the baseline of neuro-linguistic programming. So you want to think of those three senses. And now for me as an example, when I hear a song, right? When I hear like a really powerful song, it puts me in a really resourceful state. Like I get super jazzed when I hear a great song or a calming song, right? I notice this too. If I'm driving, I'm listening to like loud rock music, I get like, kind of angry and like ready to go. Versus if I'm listening to calm music, obviously, I kind of get more calm, more resourceful. I kind of think more clearly. So for me, auditory is really a cue for me to put myself in a state of mind I need to be in to be resourceful. So, and that's what I want you to think about, right? Are you a person that if you hear something, it triggers something in your brain? If you see something, it triggers something. Or if you feel something, it triggers something else, right? But which one of those 3, visual, auditory, or kinesthetic, which one of those really just And you're going to use a little bit of all of them, right? But all of us, we have kind of one or two things that really just spark something on the inside, right? It really puts you in a state of like, hell yes, I'm going to go for that, right? So, and that's why I was saying earlier, you know, decisions that you made weeks, months, years ago, right? You were in a certain state of mind, and that influenced the course of your life. But now you're here, okay? Now we're here, right? We're moving forward. So when you think about putting yourself in a more positive, resourceful state, what does it take you to do that, right? And this is where it kind of gets tricky. You know, when you think of the picture in your head, when you picture your 2.0 version, when you picture the house you want, the car you want, the spouse you want, just the general life that you want, what things really stick out for you, right? Is it visually appealing for you? If it's visually appealing, try to blow that image up in your brain. Is it auditory? Like, are you hearing like your spouse's voice? Are you hearing the rumble of a car? Are you hearing like the peace and tranquility of the wilderness in your country home, right? Or, you know, like feeling, right? Are you feeling like, you know, feeling the warmth of someone's love? Are you feeling like the comfort of being in a big home? Like, I know it sounds kind of cheesy to a degree, but it's all true. And you have to combine those feelings into that mental image in your brain. And that's going to help you get that compelling future ideology. And you're going to make that so real and manifested in your mind. And when you do that, and when you put yourself in that resourceful state, because you're thinking about, you know, visual cues, auditory cues, kinesthetic cues, and you're thinking about all those cues, you put yourself in that state of mind, you're going to start to make, again, you'll notice you're making different decisions on a day-to-day basis to help put yourself closer to where you want to be, because you've built such a strong mental perception inside your head. You can hear things, you can feel them, right? And so visual, auditory, and kinesthetic, right? You can see it, you can hear it, you can feel it. And when you can combine those three things together and make that mental image in your head and really, really, truly embody that, you're going to start to make different decisions, and you're no longer going to allow the conditions around you to influence what's going on inside your head, because you made such a powerful image inside your head that you have the ability now to push forward and push through anything. Sounds simple, right? And it really is. It is that simple, but it just takes time. It takes time, daily practice, daily effort to do that stuff. So, again, hope this video was helpful, guys. Again, we talked about kind of a recap, right? We talked about the basics of neurolinguistic programming using visual, auditory, and kinesthetic cues to create a mental picture inside of your head, a powerful picture enough to put you into a resourceful state, right? Not allow the conditions around you to affect your state of mind. But when you put yourself in that more resourceful state, you're going to start to make different decisions on a day-to-day basis that are ultimately keep pushing you towards where you want to go. Again, hope it's beneficial. Peace. Talk to you guys soon.